Alright. Alright. Looks like we're live. Sorry for the delay. It is Wire Wednesday number 16 already. Got my new studio lights in. They are blinding me right now, but I was told that they're good for doing live streaming. So let me know in the comments you can hear me okay. I'm using a different mic system. I'm working off of one of the cameras. The mic's off of one of the cameras, so hopefully, or if there's too much background noise, let me know. So today we are working on just wire bending production. It's Memorial Day coming up, so if anybody's ever worked in a lab before, you know that Memorial Day or any kind of holiday coming up means all your due dates are going to get bunched up before and after because, you know, UPS doesn't run, or oh, Greg, thank you for letting me know it's loud and clear. So I may turn off the fan behind me if it gets too loud. Let me test this. Oh no, it's good. Okay. So anyway, it's Memorial Day, so we're all busting our butts and trying to get work done. But anyway, I thought I would just keep on wire bending. I'll answer your questions, put them in the chat, and I'll talk to y'all while I work, and also kind of talk about production and trying wire bending your fastest. So anyway, I'm going to start. Let me switch over the screen real quick. I'm just going to start with like a little okay. That way you can still see me work, and hopefully you can see all the angles here. I'm going to try to touch on each one of these and try to zoom in. Oh, and another reason I'm running late was usually I use my son's phone for one of my extra cameras, but he put a passcode on it. I can't crack his passcode, so we're going to have a talk about letting Daddy use your phone and not put a passcode on it. I need to know. I need to get inside of those. Hello, Frank. Good evening, everyone. What time is it there, Frank? Alright, let me see if I can get all my stuff situated. So I got to prep these still, so I was just going to show you how I prep these. I like to draw my lines. It's something I picked up at a lab I worked at where we prepped everything, and you drew the lines for the wires on everything so that the next stage the wire bender knows exactly what to bend. So it was like a shorthand, or so they didn't have to rely on the script. And in fact, the boss liked the wire benders to line up all their models like this, and there'd be like maybe 10 or 12 all in a row right here, and it would, and you just pick up one, bend it, and then it's 1970. Oh gosh, it's almost is that 10 o'clock there in France? It's France, right? So back to where I was talking about. So that way they can just look at, especially if it's the same thing over and over again, you don't want them to have to follow a design on here when it's a complicated design. So this is just your basic ollies over and over and over again. So I use red to mark where acrylic goes, so that way the wire bender knows, you know, where the acrylic is going to go. You could also mark it here if you want. See, I always cut it here and here, and here, but usually that's just default for the acrylic trimmers. So for my first layer, I'm looking to see if I need to wax out anything. Maybe a little bit right here. This is where you would wax out your undercuts. Before you apply your separator, else you can't get your wax to sit. Raccoon Lufa, hello man, how's it doing? Oh, Frank, it's 7 p.m. Are you still working, Frank? Are you off right now? Enjoying some YouTube time? Raccoon Lufa 88, what a funny name. Alright. So what I would usually do is just prep everything. So I'd have a whole stack of wires I need to bend. You know, the case pans, and I'd stack them all up. And I would prep them all, and then I bend them all. So I'll do them in batches to try to save some time. This one's going to have Adam's clasp, so I'm going to prep for the Adam's clasp. I like to use this knife. It's got a nice straight edge there, 90-degree edge. I'm preparing dinner with my wife. I see the laughing face. I have one question for you. Have you ever had to do Adam's clasp on the palatal side? No. I don't think I've ever done an Adam's clasp on this side, if that's what you're asking. The palatal side. That seems kind of counterintuitive almost. See, this will be Adam's clasp, but it's on the buckle side. Now the wires will go into the pallet on this side. Greg! Can you put a green screen behind you and have a video of Godzilla trashing Tokyo in the background? Oh, that'd be great. I've thought about investing in a green screen. I thought that'd be great. Maybe I put like a video of like a huge lab behind me, like tons of production going on, full of a bunch of people. Yeah, that'd be great. Have you ever seen Whose Line Is It Anyway? Where they put Colin Mockery in front of a green screen, and then Ryan and whoever are newscasters, and they're trying to give him a clue on what he's standing in front of because he has no idea. I should do that, and then y'all can choose the background of what's behind me on the green screen. That would be hilarious. Oh, I lost my picture-in-picture. Now, the clasp, I have made a clasp that kind of contours here. I've done that before on the lingual side. Just kind of looks like this. I don't ever call it a hopefully you can see that. Yeah, I don't ever call it a lingual. Adam's clasp. That's interesting that you said that. So, this is, well, I've kind of messed that up. So this, when we prep for other wire benders, when they saw 2 lines here, and then a crossbar, that meant put an Adam's clasp on there. Now labial bows were a little different. We just draw a straight line. Now this is where time will help you, because you got to keep it even. Don't let the trimming on the back side. So keep the line as level to the incisal edge as possible. Oh, Greg, did you get my email about putting the monomer in the... as you can see, I'm sweating right now. It's hot in my little lab. And I was running into the issue of the little small little bubbles, especially on labial acrylic, because I do that first. And so that sets up first, but because of the heat, it sets up so fast I couldn't get it in the pressure pot before the little bubbles appeared. So I had one batch where there was a whole bunch of bubbles on the labial acrylic. It drove me crazy, but there's nothing I can do about it. But this morning I put the... In fact, I need to go do that right now. I'm going to take these, and I'm going to put them in the refrigerator that I have in the garage. That's my lab refrigerator. And they'll be nice and cool, so whenever I pour these up, I'll have extra working time, especially when it gets hot and humid in the lab, and I have a little window unit, and it doesn't do justice. Yeah, you got to go back to it. Yeah, during the winter, you're fine. What you got to deal with in the winter is the acrylic slumping on you because it's not setting up fast enough. It starts drifting one way or another. Okay. So green screen is one of your goals, Greg? No, but do you have a YouTube channel? And put some, paint some separator on here. One thing I am going to do, I'm going to wax this gap right here. And that way, when I do the acrylic, it's not going to run out. Alright, so I like to put 2 coats of this stuff. Let one dry. Alright, so these are ready to go. So now what I would do is I would prep all these. So this is Wire Wednesday, so let's get the wire bending, right? Checking on my camera angles here. Alright, so now that I've raised this, I probably need to set Alright. Cool. Man, these lights make a difference, especially this overhead view. It is a big difference because the overhead view always got so dark. Oh, yes, it's called RO8V28. Is it about? I'm going to put up a dental one for training. You're my inspiration, you and Zara. Hey, man, I appreciate that. Yeah, put up a dental one. What do you cover in the one you have now? Is it just personal one? Oh, I got to get it software to do it. At the school they used to... Oh, I'm reading backwards in case y'all didn't know this. At the school they used to store all your belongings in the fridge to be sure you don't have a problem with it. Yeah, in the school when you take so long when you're learning acrylic. It's good to try to retard the cold cure process on it. What I'm bending now is called a continuous rest, and it's some people bend 2 separate rests, but I picked this up from a lab I worked at. I think it brings strength to the retainer, but you cannot build into it any kind of springiness. Like it can't be like spring like this. It can't be sprung like this and then you like wax it, pull it wide and wax it, because when you take it off the retainer, it's going to try to go back. So it's got to be as passive as possible. And I used to not like these because of that reason, but then I realized, you know, once you bend it passive, there's really no issues with it. Yeah, Greg, I'll check out your site. Give you some subscriptions. I like to bend little handles when I'm bending wire, just to hold on to things. So I don't necessarily clip perfectly short every time. Oh, okay. It's blacksmithing, flint knapping, and everything else that strikes my fancy. Oh, cool! I want to watch that. Yeah, I'm going to subscribe too. I started watching this channel for video tips. However, I've learned to do some ortho and at making more money in my dental lab. Bonus. Nice. Perfect. Blacksmithing, you can probably make your own tools and equipment if you need to. That's cool. This is such a weird mouth. It's got like this shelf area right here. Yeah, I've learned, you know, from other ortho lab channels also. You know, I'll be struggling with something, and you know what, Steve or Jay or somebody will put out a video just in the right time that helps me learn something new. The industry nowadays is so open, where it wasn't like that before. When I first started learning, you know, you never did. You kind of learned, unless you were brought in by a family member or a friend into the lab you never knew existed. And then when you did find out about it and you want to pursue it, there's no educational system you can go to. There is, but it's hard to find. So here I am, I'm still bending this, trying to keep it passive, and I don't want it to touch any of the inside because I want to have the acrylic flow around it. There we go. So notice it's passively set in there. I'm not going to have to stretch it or pull it or anything to get the occlusal rest into the lingual grooves there. There we go. So I did, while it was cooling, I did pull up on it to try to get it to touch. All right, Frank. Have a good dinner, man. Hope you enjoy it. Have a nice rest of the day. Man, that looks blurry. I'm going to try a different angle here. Let's move that one into the middle. So over here. No. This one over here, this one over here. I may have the lighting too bright. Alright, so I'm going to do the mushroom spring now. Those that are watching, feel free to ask questions down below. I'll try to answer them best to my knowledge. Sorry this isn't such a high production. Well, it never really is a high production with Wire Wednesday. Never really intended it to be. It's more of a connection between me and you and other YouTube personalities. This is going to look a little weird. I don't know if Frank's still there or not, but maybe I should do a show on cooking. You don't want me to do a show on cooking. Trust me. Grilled cheese sandwiches. I could probably make grilled cheese sandwiches for everybody. So this, I've done videos on this type of appliance before. It's really weird, but it tends to really work well. It's a spring aligner type, modified spring aligner type appliance, and of course this looks really weird because of the mouth is got a shelf there that I got to bend past. See, I don't like the lingual part to be above the middle of the tooth, so I can trim the acrylic down. Now, what's weird about this is we're going to make vertical acrylic cuts in here, kind of like you would do for a Sagil or Schwartz. Right about here, we're going to make vertical cuts. So these two wires are going to work in conjunction, and they're going to twist and torque, and this thing will move. So if these teeth start to shift or whatever, they can, you can push down on it, and these things will twist and torque. So this will be a separate piece, this will be a separate piece, and this will be a separate piece connected by these two wires. So I have to make sure that they touch about, I like them to touch each other about where I'm going to make that vertical cut. I'm about to cut off my handle. I'm going to regret that. Let me go the other way. See, I'm all about making little handles. And a little curve in, and I think we're good. Curve this down some, curve in where my handle goes. I don't know if you can see my fingers in this, the way I'm holding it. Yeah, you can see it in this one. How I'm holding it, you can see how I'm using my hands as a kind of an anchor. And then, of course, right when I cut it, it always messes up on me. So Greg, what are you thinking of calling your channel? Your dental channel? Is it just ortho, or is it gonna... The picture you showed me had a flipper. I didn't know if you do dentures and all that stuff, all that jazz too. Alright, so I'm working this around. Looks like I need to zoom out just a tad on all my cameras. They're all getting... Whoa, wrong way. Sorry about that, guys. There we go. Yeah, it looks weird because there's just such a platform there. Now, to tack this down, you can use different methods. Let's see here. So you could use Zap It. You know, I have a video if you want to look that up. Z-base methyl methacrylate. I guess you can use super glue if you want. You gotta be careful with accelerator, because if you spray accelerator on there and then go straight to sprinkling before this has a chance to evaporate off, you're gonna have a problem of small little bubbles that pop up, because this will accelerate the acrylic too. And then of course you got the Z-base that you can use. But lately what I've switched to is Fix-It powder. And for those that aren't familiar with it, this is a powder you can use with any monomer. Monomers in the fridge. Hold on. For those that are curious, you'll have to rewatch this to see why my monomer's in the fridge. Long story short, it's a hot day today. My AC's having a hard time keeping up, so my acrylic is setting up fast. Now, back to Fix-It powder. This is stuff I get from JBC and Company, and you can use it to fill in small little bubbles, put little bite plates on, build up things toward the end of after you've already done the appliance. Small repairs, but it sets up in 3 minutes without a pressure pot, which is great. You can't build a whole retainer out of this, but you can use this to fill in little voids, bubbles, you know, things like that. It's great. Doctor's offices really like it because they can add, if they take too much away, they can add real quick and in the office without a pressure pot. So I like using this because it's acrylic. I don't think it's methyl methacrylate. I think it's ethyl methacrylate, but it blends well with methyl methacrylate, so you can just put the stuff on top. Try to put a link up in the post. Anyway, it's Liberty Dental Lab. Oh, okay, Liberty Dental Lab. What do you do with your handles? You must have buckets. What handles? I guess I don't know what you're talking about. Handles. You talking about names? Like... Yeah, it won't let you put links in the comments. Don't know why. Anyway, Sylvia Barrett, thanks for the fridge tip. It's on the hot side all year round in South Africa. I'll definitely try it. Those tiny bubbles are a nightmare. Yes, they are. And yeah, so try putting get a couple of these maybe, and just cycle them out. So as they warm up, grab the other one out of the fridge, put it in, and you should get more working time out of your acrylic. Because this is a exothermic reaction, the acrylic is. So as it, I almost poked myself in the eye. as it heats up, it activates it faster. And that's how pressure pots work. it raises atmospheric pressure and adds heat, so it sets it up real fast. So now you're just trying to slow that down some. What is the temperature now in South Africa? I guess you can put Celsius. I'll try to... I don't know if I use Celsius or Fahrenheit there. Oh, Greg makes removable partial indentures that also train a lot to do this. Oh, see? Yeah, you definitely need to. We ortho guys need partial tips and tricks from partial denture guys. You guys are the master at placing teeth and grinding them in and stuff. Oh, so now I moved on to labial bow, if y'all haven't noticed that by now. So the good thing now is, and it's worked so far, so all the live chat over there will be on the stream when it gets recorded. I think someone's calling me. I don't know who that was. So one thing about wire management, it takes a lot of wire management for one of these appliances, as you can kind of tell. And when you get into spring aligners, especially lowers, there's not much room, width-wise to put a lot of wires. So that's one of the things you have to develop, is good wire management. You got to think where your wires are going to go. So you notice I've kept this low right here, so that I have room to put my labial bow wire just right on top of here. I like to have them all nice and stacked. I do unblocked undercuts create bubbles. 7:45 p.m. here in Johannesburg. We are at the beginning of winter, 16 degrees Celsius. Southern Hemisphere. That's it. See, we're starting summer, so it's no fun in Texas in winter. It's like Arizona. Now that gets hot. That's Fahrenheit, 100 and something degrees Fahrenheit, which is unreal. But it's dry. Texas, it can get up to 100 and it's humid, and so you're just, see, like right now I got sweat rolling down my back. Probably too much information. Y'all don't want to hear that. I don't know about unblocked undercuts create air bubbles. I guess it could. It probably depends on if you're trapping air bubbles while you're sprinkling it, or if they're coming out of the cast. Meaning, if you let's see, how would undercuts cause it? I don't know if when you're curing it, if you're submerging it in the water, maybe that's causing air to come out of the cast into the wet acrylic and causing bubbles. Are they big bubbles or little bubbles? That, I guess I'd need to ask that. To me, so just the reason I'm asking that is, so big bubbles usually mean the air came out of the cast into the acrylic, it bubbled into it, so you get big bubbles. Little tiny bubbles means it's a curing thing. It's curing before you get it in the pressure pot. Or you're not curing it at all in the pressure pot. this over. Y'all let me know which views y'all like better. I'm trying to find the right one because it's kind of hard. You know, I take the wire away and do my bend and then put it back on, and sometimes you don't see me taking my hands away. For some reason, this loop is super long on this side. I don't know if y'all can see that. Short here, long here. So let me see if I can shorten it some. In the pot submerge tiny bubbles. Are you pre-soaking your model before you put it in? Or, let's see, are you pre-soaking your model, you know, in water before you sprinkle acrylic on it and then submerge it? Another thing that you probably know to do that. Using different acrylic to yours, tried your coffee mug method, and what a disaster, create slumps and stuck to the mug. Sorry. Yes, soaking at least 10. Well, I mean, that should get rid of the bubbles. So now I'm thinking maybe it's the heat. Maybe our undercuts are poured first. Usually it's the acrylic that you sprinkle first. The acrylic that you sprinkle first that starts producing small bubbles because it starts curing first. So me, what I was getting bubbles on was the labial acrylic. So I was sprinkling labial acrylic first. So I was getting tiny bubbles on labial acrylic, but I was fine here because I was sprinkling this last. So it might be a timing issue, but maybe try that refrigerator method. I wouldn't see how undercuts could cause bubbles. Besides it, you got to fill it in, and that takes a lot of acrylic and maybe a lot of time. Especially if you're filling undercuts in first with acrylic. Yeah, I'll have to have a more of an in-depth. I get a lot of questions on this hybrid method I use with the coffee cup. And the hybrid method I use with the coffee cup, you know, where I put on the coffee cup for the initial set and then I put it in the water, because I sprinkle on dry models. I don't pre-soak them. It saves time in the long run. Although you probably get them, I used to do it your way where I soaked them first. So there's nothing wrong with that, and you can work any method you use. You obviously have worked into your system. I'm having the hardest time wrapping this around this occlusion here. Gotta pay attention, Cade. Talking too much. Still, that looks too tall. But maybe it's just an optical illusion because of the trimming here. Yeah, also one thing to think about is, it's funny, we're bending wire but talking about acrylic. One thing to think about with, you said using a different acrylic. I don't know if you make acrylic technique or different acrylic than I use. Is they all act differently. So you just got to get used to the way most acrylic you're using works. Some slump more than others, but give you more working time. Some don't slump much, but don't give you much working time. So you got to be quicker. about it, and you got to change your methods. Alright, so I'm good here. Alright, that looks better. I use JBC acrylic. It was created by this lady. Her name's Priscilla. She owned her own lab for 30 years and has developed her own line of acrylic. Actually became the first FDA approved orthodontic acrylic, and the color she offers is absolutely amazing. And her acrylic matches my working style. So I'm hands-on. I smooth it out with my finger. It has a real nice gel stage that you can actually manipulate. But actually, here, I'll show you. Let me switch cameras here. This is my acrylic that I use. Kind of got a weird shadow on there. See if I can get it. Sorry, guys. Trying to get some light in there. So there's all the polymers. So here's all the luminary colors. Here's all the royal colors. Here's all the opaque colors. Dolphin gray and chocolate brown, midnight black, pink pearl sparkle, peach pearl sparkle, yellow, fuchsia, lavender, crystal, salmon pink. So all this is glitter. So she's created all these glitters. It's fun. There's my tooth shade. Move that down here. And these are all the monomers that she offers. And they're just gorgeous colors. So like, here's Caribbean blue. Isn't that awesome? Yeah, so I use JBC, and it's jbcandcompany.com if you want to check them out. This is their color chart that I give the doctors, and this is all the colors they get to choose from. And we got some metallic back here. And we got, gold. Can't wait to use that. But yeah, so they choose. I order these cards from her too. It just makes it easier making a color chart. But that's the acrylics I use. So I may have to move my Wire Wednesday to Acrylic Tuesday. Alright. Please send some over. You have far too many. Oh, check out in my videos below. I think it's still there. Hopefully, I'll check. Hopefully I didn't unlist it, but I did an unboxing of my acrylic kit when I first got it in, so you can see all the colors. I pull them out one at a time. It's super boring, but if you like colors like I do, you really get to see. I just saw something wrong with this. You really get to see all the colors one at a time. So look in my videos section, and I think it says unboxing of acrylic kit or something that I bought from her, because she'll sell all these in one kit. I think it's like $1,500. I can't remember. Holy cross-link polymerization! That's some serious acrylic. Yeah, yeah. I mean, to me, okay. Here's my thing about the colors. There's some labs that don't like using them. I don't blame them. I mean, you got to keep them in stock and stuff. But like, I got that in January, and I haven't bought a single color yet. So it's good for 900 appliances. So when I'm a small lab, that'll last me a while. And of course, you only have to order the popular ones, because you'll keep the other ones forever. Well, monomer doesn't keep forever. Anyway, the point I'm getting at is, who's your crowd? Who's your customer? Your customer is a doctor, but the end customer is a teenage boy or girl. They want their school colors. They want pink sparkle. Whatever it takes to get them to wear their retainers more. I think it's worth carrying all these acrylics. And it being in one kit, it was an easy purchase for me. It was just a no-brainer for me. Those color charts, some doctors don't even like using them because the kids take too long to choose, but it's fun for me because I'll get it in. Oh, it's lapis blue. I get to use. I hadn't got to use this one yet, so that's the reason. Now the problem I saw when I picked this model up. Look at this. See how much this is flared up? That's going to be sticking out of the acrylic. Something shifted on me whenever I was tacking it down. So I'm going to have to pop this back off. And I'm probably going to put a bend right here. Try to fold that down into the lingual area. There we go. See, now it's better. Let me open up this bend a little bit right here. Make sure I got it where I can get acrylic all the way around it. Now this is set up. The acrylic I put on there before, it's completely set up. So it's holding that wire in there. I didn't like using wax because I don't like the chance of, and what I'm talking about is tacking this wire to this wire, because there's nowhere to tack it on the outside. This whole mushroom spring is completely embedded in the acrylic, so that means it's hard to tack. So I tack it to the wire. So I bend this wire first, the continuous rest, and then I bend the mushroom spring and I tack it to the continuous rest, and that way and I tack it with acrylic. So acrylic bonds with acrylic. You can't see it. I used to use Zap-It, but you can see the little Zap-It glue in there. I didn't really like that, so I like this method. And I didn't like using wax because I didn't like trapping wax in the acrylic. It just doesn't look good. So let me tack this down. There we go. It's ready to go. Alright. Set that there. Alright, I was going to stop there, but you know what? I started late. Let me just see if I can bend this up one real quick. Now, I was supposed to talk about production. I've been talking about prepping and stuff. What I was doing underneath the bench, I got my hedge trimmers. And I was just cutting the model. Because, as you can see, it didn't give me much room to make my loops right here. Alright. Oh, I never did separate. I never did put a second coat. You know what? Let me show something. Difference between one coat and two coats. Maybe you can see it. So if I put monomer here, you can almost see how it soaks into the model. Alright. This one I've put two coats on. Where it was really thick. You can see where it's gonna. Man, I don't know if you can see that or not. Maybe I'll have to set up the cameras different and show later on. But you can see the difference between that and that. So when you see that, how dark that gets. So when you start sprinkling, you see it turn your model dark like that. You have to put no separator on there. So you need to put some separator on. See that? How that kind of doesn't soak in all the way. Which is what the separator does, is keeps it from bonding to your, getting into the porosities of the stone, your acrylic into the porosities of stone and locking in. Sometimes you gotta put a little wire in there. It's separating it from the opening. Oh, there we go. Man, that was weird. I like to use a nice soft brush and get it into all the nooks and crannies. You could even paint the top of the teeth if you want to come off even easier, but I definitely wouldn't paint the sides of the model because that's where you're gonna put your wax, and wax doesn't like to stick to separated acrylic. All right, I'm gonna try to talk my way through this. So I made my arch. I'm going to try to do it as quick as possible. Of course, it never does work out, and especially when we're live. Make my mark to go my 90-degree bend up. Get my loop formers here. Clean up that 90-degree bend. There we go. And it's not touching there, so I'm going to torque it down. Alright, so now we're touching here. We're going to bend this over. Bend this over. Oh, hey! Oh, okay.
You see my sunglasses? Sorry.
Sybil brought them to me.
My sunglasses?
Mm-hmm.
Where at?
I think I'll sit in the chair in the dining room.
Sorry to bother you.
So summertime is here. The kids are getting out of school early. Another reason I need to rush this through. But the good thing is my son is a very good video switcher. I'm going to start having him video switch so I don't have to sit here and do it. He can choose, instead of having to do this 4-screen thing, he can choose the best angles. So I'm going to torque that down. Mark it where it's touching the stone last. Make sure I'm checking my level. Okay, we're good. Then start bending this over the occlusion. Now I got it where I want it. I'm going to bend these into the palette. Get my force. Let's go 3-screen. You don't have to see my face in the chat all the time. Lighting is awesome. Thank you. This was a gift to myself. I had my birthday last Thursday. And I got some cash from the parents for my birthday, so I was like, you know what, I'm gonna invest in the live stream or my videos and get some good lighting in here. But like I said, it's making me sweat. I'm going to try to make a playlist. I think you can do this. I think you can make a playlist of things that I use for live streaming. Like if you look in the description below, you can see the unit I use for live streaming. So if you wanted to do these yourself, you can get the same unit I do, and I'll put a link on the lights too and everything I get. So these are, oh man, Greg, I'll put the link in the description below later on. I got them off of Amazon, so they're pretty cool. They come in a little. You can't see anything. Let me turn it off. So it's got a 5500K bulb. It comes in a little stand, little tripod stand that you can extend and adjust and things. So, and it has a little switch down here to turn it on and off. And I got 2 of them. They're for taking pictures of things, to sell on eBay or whatever. Or a light box. I've done something weird here. Probably that gap between the lateral and the canine. Yeah, there we go. Found it. I didn't buy a light box. It didn't come with it, Steve. I just bought the lamps that you can use with a light box. I can't even talk right now. Steve is busy too with all this Memorial Day stuff coming up. Can you imagine trying to work inside of a light box? I couldn't. Oh, although it's probably kind of like our trimming box that we have. Just install these lamps on either side of it. That might be a pretty good light box, especially for trimming and stuff. Alright, so I got that. Oh, the Minnie Mouse retainer. Oh man, yeah, that was for a doctor's wife, so I had to make that good. And so they were like, you know what, put red on top with white polka dots. And I used a barrel burr. I was going to film it, but I'm afraid to film it and then not turn out good, so maybe on the next one I'll film how I ground out the dots. But pretty much, Steve, you have a video on it was the same method. Yeah, so if y'all haven't seen it, I have a Instagram page for my lab, Tippett Orthodontic Lab. Look it up on Instagram. You'll see I have a red and white upper, red with white polka dots upper retainer, and a white with red polka dot lower retainer. Yeah, that turned out really well. I was really impressed how well that turned out. But it was using your technique where you were using different colors of polka dots. I don't know which video that was, but I think it was your video. Oh, so I'm using 8mm Adams class preformed. man, it is. Steve, I meant to get permission from you to play some of your music in the background. If y'all don't know, Steve has a music channel where he plays guitar and piano and stuff, and I need to get a good link from you. Was that your music playing in the back of the Aero class retainer? The repost you did from Martina? Was that your music? That way I can... Yeah, the weird, awkward silences that I tend to have on this channel can be filled in with some music. Heart Technic. Is that the name of the song that you use? I think his music channel is just called Steve Zara, if I'm not mistaken. Yes. Okay. Is that for free on? What am I thinking of? That free music we get in our YouTube channels? In case you guys don't know, the reason most of us YouTube creators don't play music in the background is because we can get our videos taken down by the copyright people. In fact, the funny thing was, when I do live stream for the church that I go to, sometimes they play the song so well that the originating recording people will flag the video, and we don't put monetization on it anyway, but they say we'll take it off if you put monetization on it. But you know, it's funny, if you replay a song and you do it well enough, the algorithm will flag it as the original song by the original artist. Heart Technique. Video. Oh, okay. Gotcha. Alright, we are finishing up here. Make sure everything is where it needs to be. So one thing I like to do is, notice I bent the first Adams clasp and I didn't tack it down, and I went ahead and bent the second one. It's because I have the worst ability to make my loops, my tags, the same. If you do it like Steve, you can just do zigzags and it's fine, but since I've condemn myself to doing these loops, sometimes you get them off kilter a little bit and it looks bad in the retainer. Sometimes I'll do that and I'll look at the color of the retainer and it'll be like, okay, it's black. I'm like, oh, well, I don't have to worry about how it looks underneath the acrylic because it's black. Nobody's going to be able to see your wire work. But of course, every single time, you know, I'll have an unlevel acrylic tag on the inside. That thing will be clear. And it'll show every shining detail of your wire bending. So I'd like to come in here and I even up the... Why did the camera go to sleep? I don't know what happened to that. Let me switch to this. I can't think my camera died. I'm about to end it anyway. Let me get another view in here. Kind of a weird view, I know, but my camera died. I didn't plug it in. Anyway, I like to, you can see from this angle, I like to get them all the same and then make all my loops at the same time. All 4 of them. This is the rear view. I didn't. I forgot to push play. Oh, you stopped doing loops and went to the zigzags, Greg? The reason is my appliance was made to be chewed on and they break where the loops go through. That's a good point. That's a real good point. Yeah, since you're doing flippers and partial dentures and stuff, yeah, you got to kind of take that into effect. I like how you had your wires in the picture you sent me going along the gum line. That was neat. Nice and clean work. Alright, so that is it. Those are the 2 retainers I get done in an hour or longer. That's sad. I get to talking. And usually this would take me 40 minutes or so, 20 minutes for that, 10 minutes for that, if I'm not being distracted and all. But I'm going to end it there. Thank you guys for joining me today. I know it's kind of a quick one, or staying with me. Talking about production, because we're all busy. I know Steve is, and Jay Tyler went golfing. Don't tell him I told y'all that. Anyway, patrons, hopefully I'll have a new questions answered. So for those that don't know, the ones that are patron subscribers that support my channel, they ask questions. I'll answer them in video form using case studies if I can. In fact, I think the last one I covered a CDT question and a pressure pot acrylic curing question. So there should be another one coming out. Be sure and ask your questions down below in your Patreon account, and I'll get to answering those. So until then, I'm going to get back to work. Y'all have a good day, and happy bending.